Hey, I'm Mike Ferrantino. We are here in the brewery, Black Rocks Brewery, at this is Marquette, Michigan. I'm with Travis Engel, Ryan Palmer. We're riding bikes. And today, we're talking about the bike we rode, the Marin Wolf Ridge 9. New suspension design, only Marin and Polygon share this. It's developed by Daryl Voss. Uses a sort of a floaty thing that allows a linear wheel path instead of a sort of arced wheel path. Mm-hmm. And they claim it's this is your super versatile do everything bike, 160 millimeter travel carbon fiber machine. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
29-inch wheels.
29-inch wheels.
Yeah.
And there are a few other bikes that we're testing that have similar numbers. You know, there's the Orbe Orion. It's a long travel 29er. I'm trying to think of bikes that this bike compares to.
Yeah, I can think of one.
Yeah?
What?
Well, I mean, it kind of climbs like maybe a 130 mil travel, like a short travel 29er, you know, like some of the bikes we were on just yesterday, like the Evil Following, stuff like that. Like it climbs like a snappier, shorter travel bike, I feel like.
You know what? I don't think it climbs like anything else. Like
It's different.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I talk about the difference here. The way they describe it is really light damping, both compression and rebound, very active, very compliant suspension that is theoretically completely isolated from your pedaling forces, so it's working when you're sitting or standing. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Was that so? What do you guys think?
It is a ground huggy thing, right? Like it feels like the rear wheel is conforming to the ground as you're going through the trail. And it's refreshing to have such a lightly damped bike. Like I like active suspension. I feel like most bikes are over damped. And so for me, I really appreciated that. And but it is a learning curve, I think, getting used to a bike like this, because, as you're pedaling up steep climbs, you sometimes feel like it's so active that you might mistake that for a lot of bob, but I think it's really just tracking the ground well.
But it doesn't bob, though. Like, in spite of the
No,
really
it doesn't.
light damping.
It has this hovering effect.
Mm-hmm. And I think the damping characteristics on this bike is consistent with the way it climbs. Like, they want that rear wheel to get out of the way at a moment's notice. And that's especially important on the climb when you don't have a ton of speed. It's really nice that this bike is really kind of has a light touch when you're climbing uphill.
And like this is central to their philosophy too, though, with this design is really light damping. Like, you can't even adjust the compression damping on that. You can't dial more compression damping in to firm it up if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, no, that is not an option.
The only thing you can do to make this thing like not go through its travel is to add volume spacers to the shock.
Right, which then gives it some more ramp up just by rate of the air spring.
Just by the air spring, yes.
So, does it climb well? I thought it climbed really well across the board.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you're right, I don't think it climbs like a 160 bike, but then point it downhill. This, in their philosophy here, again, this is a bike that can do everything.
Yeah.
So, how does it descend?
I mean, I think that it descends really confidently. Like, I felt like off drops and I was pushing it hard. It feels very active again. Like, it feels quick. As the suspension is moving through its motion, it feels quick and reactive and stuff. But for some reason, I didn't get like the full-on like smash through stuff effect that I get out of some other bikes in the long travel 29er category. Like, it's not as much of a, I don't know, just like tank.
Yeah.
For some reason, and I can't really nail why that is. Like, if it's flexy or what.
You look at the numbers and we're like, oh, let's look at these other long travel 29ers.
Because it's contemporary with them. 65.5 degree head angle, big long wheelbase, 29-inch wheels, and 160 mil travel. So it's, yeah.
But it has a lighter feeling ride than those. You use all the travel, you can hit the same type of terrain, but it doesn't have that brawler, bruiser, like, I just want to hit everything as hard as I can kind of a feel to it.
That's where I got kind of confused by it. I really enjoyed riding it. Like, the more I rode it, the more I found I had to adapt my riding style a little bit to get the most out of it. You can move your body around, and the bike uses so much of its mid-travel just when you're hovering along that you can really change its attitude as you're riding over and through things and down things. And it's playful. It's much more playful than I expect a 160 mil travel bike to be. But it took some adaptation for me. The super light damping and how much motion is always happening. I found myself like clanging the pedals a lot because I had to sort of rephase the way I pedaled through rock gardens. And I think there's a learning curve involved with this bike. And I don't consider that a criticism. I think that's just to get the most out of it. It's different to me. It seems like it's, I expect with the 160 travel bike that it is going to have like a fair bit of compression damping in there, and you are going to be able to plow into things, and the thing just seems unflappable. And this bike seems sort of light and a little willowy almost. So the rest of this then, we've talked about the suspension a fair bit. The parts that are on it for the price that it is, which is $67.99 as it comes.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
It's up there. I mean, you'd see a lot of other bikes at this price point. You'd see carbon rims. You'd see fancier rear shocks, but we kind of went over that. This bike is not really aimed at that kind of a shock. But what I always go back to when I look at a bike like this at this price point is that it offers something you can't get anywhere else. So yeah, it's expensive, but that makes it a value, I think.
Yeah, there's no like real value comparison. This bike it's different, and in today's market, it's pretty rare to find a bike that is that different. I mean, I don't think it's a full-on game changer or whatever, but like it does. I feel like it rides like unlike any bike I've ridden before it.
I agree it's not really a game changer, but I think that why this linkage is being pushed as such a revolution is because it makes you rethink the travel choice of your bike. I think
Yes.
that we think this is a 160 bike, and people who are looking at other 160, 170 bikes should look at this. I think people who are looking at 120, 130 mil bikes should look at this.
Yeah, who is, that comes to the question. If it's not necessarily going to be the quiver killer, who is it for?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for maybe the Ibis Ripley LS is on your radar, you would maybe not expect to put this on your radar, but maybe you should consider doing so.
Yeah, same thing. The Norco Sight, like it really, it can ride just as light as all of those bikes, but when you really get into trouble, there's an extra couple inches right there waiting for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So yeah, there you have it, as they say. Long-legged, trail slaying, kind of category-defying bike. It's worth checking out. If you want to check out other of these Bible to Bike test videos, find them at bikemag.com or on YouTube.